Hello, everyone. This is Ryan. I am currently live streaming right now, as you can see. I'm also this is my Twitter account, in case you didn't know, and I'm also on Threads, trying to do a little bit of outreach. Threads seems to be better working with like local areas, so I'm just trying that out. But I'm making this video pitch thing for some of the applications, and I'm going to talk about the sort of work that we're doing in a video form. But I wanted this video to be kind of like show not tell, so everything here is live. This is the live app running right now. We're listening to some Marcelo, who's a musician in the Tezos ecosystem. He's been around for a very, very long time. So it makes some pretty cool ambient music. But this is kind of normally how I do the live streams, and I'm going to move the chat off for now. But I just do a pop-up here, stick it in the corner, and hit play. There you go. I'm going to keep it very low. So I'm just going to go through the pitch deck, and this might give an idea like how we work at teia.cafe, what I've been up to. My co-founder, Joe Simon, you might have known. He's done a lot of different projects on Tezos, and he's going to be there at Berlin as well, so it's also relevant and current, So, but this is kind of how we do everything, We like to be transparent. We like to do things publicly, even there's like some hiccups or some bugs in the app sometimes, but we like to just be very, very transparent about it. And the whole reason why we're doing things this way is because we are here to kind of tap into the ethos of the blockchain, right? We want people to trust us. And we live in a world right now where that's very, very hard to find. And so I feel like, at least with our projects at Teia and teia.cafe, we kind of like side on the more extreme side of being transparent, right? And you'll kind of see that with this whole video. Like right now, I'm live streaming this. Everyone's seeing me make this video as we speak, And maybe I might make a few mistakes here and there. I might stutter a bit, but who cares, right? Like, it's transparent. You're supposed to see everything. So our app is kind of built the same way as well. But since this is for a grant application or an investor pitch, most likely, I'm going to go into kind of all the details that make it work. So most of this is just in the pitch deck already. This is already public. Everyone can see it. But we're pitching teia.cafe as a open source startup in the Tezos ecosystem. And the main reason why we've been doing this is because after being in the ecosystem for a while, both as a musician and a developer, is that there's like a lot of projects that need to go be community wide, especially with things like copyright registration and indexing, right? And a lot of these, here's a list of projects that we worked on already. And we basically, I've been kind of paying it out of pocket, working with Joe, because he needs to get paid as a dev. So, I give him a little bit of stipend just to keep it going. He works for teia.cafe like part-time. And the main reason why we're asking for funding is because there's a lot of projects out there that a lot of people don't know about, but it needs to be done. It's kind of like the plumbing and electricity, like rigging up a house, right, with the essentials that a lot of people don't even think or know about, but it's absolutely essential. That will also require full-time work. We've been trying to do it part-time, but it's the process is very slow, as you can imagine, right? Because we're both doing it kind of. So we'd like to more time to dedicate to projects like these, and so I'm going to pause the player for a bit, but we're going to. Here's a list of prior projects that we have already done from the last few years. So you might remember this, type.art. It was a text minting site. And again, we're just doing everything live, just show, not tell, right? You might remember type.art. It was a text-based NFT minting, and it was pretty popular for a while. But then the developer working on it couldn't keep it going, so it shut down eventually, and a lot of people missed it. So we worked on having a version of that on Teia to keep the idea alive, because we do think that, there's my thing, the idea of text mints is very interesting, and not a lot of places do it. But in the long run, we can actually use these text mints to build bigger stuff on top. Like something people have suggested is that, maybe you could do a blogging platform, right? And then you can basically mint an NFT in text and have that be an article. FX Hash had something similar to it. Unfortunately, they're not kind of around anymore too. So, but Teia is keeping it going. Can I close this? Yeah. Other thing is support for MIDI minting. MIDI, if you don't know, is a format that a lot of musicians use to keep track of musical data, basically. And the nice thing about this is that it's small in size. It's just a series of instructions, basically. It's very compatible with code, because it's, like I said, it's just a series of instructions. Not the general public doesn't know about this, but MIDI is an essential tool for any musician. If you talk to any musician out there, they will know what this is. And so we have also added support for that, It's relatively easy because, why not, right? MIDI, there you go. There's a few. It's still, it's just a test, right, for now. But the potential to build bigger stuff is still there, like I mentioned earlier. The other thing we did, if you notice, waveform previews. So I would like to demonstrate this. And this is the minting page of Teia where you upload your works right into IPFS. But if you have one thing that musicians hate doing, some of them like it, but I personally hate making album covers because I'm not a visual artist, and asking someone else to do a collab, it's a lot of work. But if you're just trying to get songs out quickly, that can be a problem, And a lot of places, for example, Object, if you upload the same image, if you really don't care about the visual side and you just upload the same image over and over with your audio, it's going to get flagged for copy minting, So the way we kind of bypass this is just generate a album cover based on the waveform. And, there's some metadata here. And so, yeah, people have been using this feature. If you look on the audio section, see, some people do create their own art, which is great. Someone went through this. Yeah, there's some people have been using it, And it's just it's like a little thing that makes it easier for musicians, because some musicians will not, they don't really care about the visuals at all. And so something like this is kind of like a lifesaver, because then they don't have to think about it, So we added that. This is the big thing that we've been working on, the on-chain copyright registration system. And we've been testing it out for about 5 or 6 months now. And it seems like it's pretty stable. But this is what actually integrates with our app, which I will show in a sec. But you actually have to register it through Teia, not teia.cafe. So teia.cafe is sort of like a subsidiary to the bigger community, which is Teia. And we did that on purpose because we didn't want to get into minting. We didn't want to create a new community from scratch, Hiketnug and Teia is the place people want to be anyway, and we didn't feel like we needed to add in another one, right? But the gist of it is that you mint something on Teia, and then you register it as a separate process. If you don't, in case you don't know how copyright law works, if you do not do anything, it automatically defaults to all rights reserved. So that's a big reason why a lot of even AI companies or a lot of Web 2 companies, they don't scrape NFTs, because they know that it's technically, some places don't care, but it's technically illegal for you to take an NFT artwork and use it for your own purposes, unless you get explicit permission, right? A lot of other places, they're actually taking content from social media, and then most people don't read the agreement, but they're actually giving the platform permission to use their works, in exchange for being able to post whatever on a social media site. So a lot of people are kind of giving away their rights unknowingly, right? Here you have complete control. And there are a lot of artists out there where that is very, very important, but they don't know where to get that from, right? Because everywhere, if you go on Spotify, by the time you put your song up on Spotify and it gets to the front, you probably signed away a lot of your rights during the process, right? So here you have complete creative freedom, as well as economic freedom, right? The artist can choose whether or not they want to, what people can or cannot do, right? Right to reproduce, right to broadcast, require attribution. Let's do this properly, actually. We'll just take one of my works that I've done recently. That's our dog. Minted the memory of our dog on play. Hey, let's just do this. Copyright registration system PDF is very meta. Mint. Oh no. Copyright. Token search. Oh yeah, token found. It should find. Add token to copyright. And there you go. So it generates this agreement for you. And it's not nothing here is what do you call? It's not pulling. It doesn't go through a server of any kind. Everything is on chain, and which includes our app as well. So, but it's nothing too complicated, right? It's just like these rights, yes or no, right? And then what you can do is just kind of set some templates, and if you need additional details, you can add additional. You can add, if you want to give exclusive rights to a certain party, you can kind of treat the edition numbers as shares, if you want. That would also get included in the agreement as well. And then, expiration dates. Creator retains their rights even when exclusivity is reached. It's very, very gritty details, but if you looked at the contracts that a lot of these celebrities find, you're gonna find all this stuff there. There's probably even more that need to be added, but that can always be done later, So, create copyright. Here's the list. I'm not gonna do this for Rio. I'm not gonna hit enter, but it is here. And then you get, so this is how you basically register your work. And then this gives owners of the NFT, this one, if they happen to buy this, they can get access to all these rights that I have permission, And the whole idea is to create a marketplace around licensing in a true decentralized way. A lot of the problems you've seen, like we're not the first to try something like this, to be honest, but the problem with a lot of previous attempts is that they kind of fail after a few years because the company, the startup itself becomes the bottleneck, right? And there's a lot of places where they would prefer to have control over the listings or these agreements, right? They rather do it behind closed doors. But this is a completely open system, and because Teia is owned by the community and not any one person, it's it's like censorship resistant and can't be tampered with, unlike a lot of other places. So that's the whole reason why we're doing it on here, right, through Teia, right? But it puts, we are doing donation pages and leaderboards for Tezos Berlin, just real quick. Donate, this is brand new. So we're actually asking for donations directly now. Should have happened earlier, honestly, but better late than never, right? And another for the Teia fountain. We can see some familiar names here. So all of these things we have done and donated the code directly to the community. And this is something I feel like we want to keep on doing. And the people I talk to, they're very supportive, like the community is grateful and supportive about, us going in and like actually contributing to code. But there are some bigger projects here that we have to kind of, we need more time, basically, right? We need the focus that comes with doing full-time work. So, okay, so the next, so we talk about past project, but future projects. And how do we decide what needs to get done, right? And this is also a big part of what makes our project different and interesting. If you didn't know, Teia has been using this polling feature for a while now. And in order to participate, all you need is one Teia token. But we've been using this to kind of measure interest, or what does the community, what's on their mind, what do they want, and I go all the way back. What happens when you gaze into the abyss of a node? Yeah, in the beginning it's just kind of funny because they're just testing it out. But I wanted to, so artists have been using it to like, hey, what's your favorite one? What should I put up? How old are you? Just like random things. But we've been also been using it, at least for me. So remember this. Would you like Teia to support text-based NFTs? Oh, if you remember that, that's in here. Remember this? So, before we started building it out, I just wanted to ask, hey, do people want this? It seems like a lot of votes. That's token voting. Hey, do you want MIDI? Yes. And so on and so forth. And people have asked a lot of different feature requests or questions. Every time they ask for a feature request, usually they go to Discord and they're like, hey, can you do this? And like, well, maybe. But I've been trying to encourage the community members to put their idea up here formally, so we have something to work off of, right? Sometimes it's slow. Like this one's a good example. Would you like to see a cover image generator out of the audio? Oh wait, this was a mistake. I put up the wrong description. But here's the real question. Would you like to see the cover image generator? And that's right here. So everything here you can verify, and that's the whole part of like trying to make Teia the most trustworthy platform on the internet, right? As far as like NFTs go, because everything we do is justified on some level, right? We at least asked. If there was like an overwhelming opposition to something, then we'll probably revise the proposal. And the latest one is happening right now as we speak, is the Art on Tezos Berlin. And they had like 500 applications, I believe, and they have the team has a very difficult task of having to narrow that down to 50 or so, 25, 50, something like that, while still maintaining the peace, right, of the community. So so like we're gonna publish this too later on, but the methodology and like, hey, this is how we decided last time for like Art Basel. They used the ranked choice voting system, and they really got into the details and make sure everyone felt that results are fair, right? And you probably know what happened at that event, but on our end, we got no drama. People were happy with the result, and we had to do a similar thing. I think it was like 100 applications. We had to narrow it down to like 10 or 11. And so, Teia is very, very serious about the whole like decentralization thing, transparency thing. So we want to build on that, because a lot of the big ideas that need to happen in NFTs will need that kind of, buy-in, really, if you put it that way. So here are some ideas about things that we can work on that people have brought up with. Some of them are already in the polls. You can check yourself. Just teia.art/polls. But doing a universal indexer that tries to index a lot of NFTs out there that are lesser known, you know. Teztalk used to do this, and we used their indexer for a really long time. Right now, we because that project has shut down at this point, we are running our own indexer right now, but at a very minimal level. We're just doing audio tracks on Teia and Hikina. That's it. We will consider expanding into Object and other platforms as well. But building a indexer that can index everything, including like lesser known platforms, right? Like Versum, Calumet is another one. Even type.art. There's all these like platforms that were in the past and don't really show up. You don't see them anymore because no one is indexing them. And it'd be a shame, right? It'd be a shame to just see them kind of go away. So the idea here was to create an indexer that also preserved the history that has happened on this project, on Tezos. So that's one thing. Most people I've talked to said, "Yeah, great idea, Ryan, but it sounds really hard," And so this is a good example of something that we need like full-time resources, because it's like just me and Joe doing it part-time. This will never get done. We'll probably have to hire at least one more dev to get it done in a reasonable amount of time, So, but it's possible, people seem to like the idea. We are already doing this, upgrades to polling and governance features for Teia. We want Teia to be the digital NFT community, like the one that everyone goes to. We're a formal nonprofit, we're registered in the Marshall Islands as a formal nonprofit. The Teia token holders count as operating members, so they have control even over the entity itself. So, we want people to come here again for the same reason, because they can trust us, right? That's really like the pitch we're trying to make. We're considering doing an update to the minting contract. This may take a little while just because it's a big change, but this has more to do with there'll be a few new features, but part of it is just adding some a little bit of a fee to the minting process, so that Teia can be more self-sustaining. I think it's really important, and the fee will be very, very low, but we just need a little bit to come in just to pay for the operating costs. And it will also fix the problem that some people have right now, where if you mint on Teia, it does show up on Object, right? But if you mint on Teia and they swap their NFTs on Object, Teia right now is not really getting anything. And so that's causing a little bit of tension between the two communities. But we would like to come up with a new contract that kind of helps resolve that, And it's very, very hard to do this within like a traditional startup model, because the question is, well, what does that have to do with you making money? And I'm like, well, I don't know, right? I do know. It's the idea that, right, if we help solve this problem, it will make the ecosystem more collaborative and, you know, increase in activity, and it'll just align people's incentives, right, in the right way. But that's more of a long-term thinking, which is why we're kind of, you know, this is why we labeled ourselves as an open source startup. So, okay, search engine, NFT search engine. We would like to improve on the ability to people find NFTs in general, because it's very difficult. The search engine on Teia is a little bit underbuilt, but even on Object, right? Their search is a lot better than what Teia has currently, but it's still hard to find, right? So we do have a prototype bit. I will go talk about this app later, but we do have something that allows us to search for piano. Here's a bunch of them. Most of them are mine. A lot of them are mine because I play a lot of piano. And I was uploading a lot, but you know, there's more than 20, I know. But this is a lot easier than trying to find, you know, it works because we have our indexers is very, very tightly focused, right? So, okay, this other thing has also been talked about, is that Teia is going to have a community-owned bakery controlled by the multisig. So we're looking for ways to get Teia more directly involved with the governance, and the best way to do that is to have a bakery, like, and it's probably going to be maintained and run by Zero, but we will put to a vote that basically saying, hey, this bakery that Zero runs is under the name Teia, and you know, it represents the funds in there represents the will of the community. And so if we can get this done, I know he's looking into it, but getting a little bit more support of that could be pretty cool, because not only is that a way for like artists to kind of represent their voice formally, right, within the proposal system of Tezos, it also opens up some possibilities of like people, you know, becoming patrons to the community itself, because they can finally see, oh, my money, my donations here is going to something bigger, right? It's like, oh, if I donate funds to the Teia's bakery, for example, they can help grow the art community's influence in the bigger picture, right? So yeah, a lot could happen, you know? And the people I've talked to, even other bakers, it's like, yeah, you should totally do it. And I'm like, yeah, we should, but we need time, you know? And then other things like aggregators, you know, like some people have made some of these, but I think, you know, if you're a collector especially, you want to see some stats, just even basic things about what's in your collection, because some collectors have like thousands and thousands of NFTs, and I'm pretty sure you don't have time to look at everyone one by one, right? So you need something, you know, it's like, hey, I bought this many this month, or this is how much it's worth right now. Like this, you know, price went up or down, right? So things like that we could also work on. And then the big thing that the ecosystem seems to be pushing right now, the L2s, right? Right now, both Teia and teia.cafe runs on L1s, and I think as far as NFTs go, it should stay that way, right? But we can, but by using the NFTs that currently exist, we can build a lot of features on top of it. So one of the idea is doing tracking and reporting, right? Some people really wanted a Spotify for Tezos. But, if we want to do this the right way, we have to actually be able to track plays and, for both royalties and copyright and just, like tracking is everything, right? When it comes to like licensing and IP and such like that. So this is something that needs to be done, and it can only really be done with L2s because the L1 is just not fast enough for it. So we are looking into this as well, because if we can do something with this to make it work, it'll be the first of its kind, at least in crypto. Okay, so that kind of goes through what we've been doing with Teia. Here's a little bit of my history. You can kind of look if you want. And then the history of Joe Simon, who's our CTO, co-founder. And, the money stuff, you can look on your own. I won't put it in this video. But I think we're asking for a reasonable amount for a reasonable amount of work. At least I would like to think. So the actual, now finally to the actual app, where, again, I have to say that teia.cafe and Teia are not the same thing. teia.cafe is a C Corp that was formed between me and Joe. It's a company, yeah. And then we have our shares and all that kind of stuff already. Teia is something separate, which is the DAO, the digital arts community run by a DAO, which is also a registered nonprofit. But we are taking, like, all these songs here come from Teia. We don't do minting. We're just borrowing the works that already exist, including all the information here and like even the sales, right? We're just taking a cut on top of. We also have curators. So, we have all these things going on, but the one thing I have to show, okay, again, you can see other owners, right? So the one thing I have to say about teia.cafe is that we don't have a database. We do not store almost anything on our site. You notice there's no login. There's nowhere to put in like your email or anything. It's purely run with the Tezos wallet. If you want to message people, we have a messaging system, but this is all on chain as well. So sent, new message, hey, TZ1, blah, 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 and TZ2, blah, right? Yeah, I know it's invalid, but hey, how's it going? But this is etched directly on the blockchain. Like, it's not it's not an email. There's no server. There's nothing to keep track of, right? So it's completely public, but nothing is tracked because it's just kind of out there. Most important things is the copyright here. So you might remember the copyright licensing system that we talked about here has been integrated into our app. Now, this is just one example of what you can do with it, because it's our particular way of interpreting the data that's on the chain, right? But because it's open source, anyone can take this system and use it to yourself. Someone could create a marketplace from this, like right now, if they really, really wanted to. And, you know, if they want to do that, that's great, because, like, I have a lot of other stuff I need, you know, right? Like, if they want to take this on, someone else wants to take it on, they can at any given point, right? Maybe not now, maybe some point in the future. They might be like, oh, look at this, right? So that's kind of the benefit that we're really pitching, is that any of the work that we do through your support here will go to the benefit of the community as a whole, because everything will be open source. And if they want to borrow it, go ahead, you know. Yeah, so but the idea is that we want to create a marketplace, right, for copyright. Hey, I want something where I can reproduce. Oh, here's this, right? And you can also use this for our radio. You know, once it gets going, we can filter by broadcast rights. And then these two songs, we have explicit permission from the artist to broadcast their thing. And because one big problem is that, you know, as a streamer and someone who was doing a lot of YouTube for a long time, is that being able to play music is really hard, because they will flag you. Sometimes they'll even shut down your channel, you know, if you play the wrong songs too many times. And it's just a big, huge headache, right? If there's something where you can just put allowed, play, and you know, just like not have to worry about it, it would be a pretty big deal, I think. Because right now you have the either option of having no music. Some people actually scrub it from their videos, which is unfortunate. Or you give whatever stock, you know, lame stock music that they have there that is allowed, right? And I see people do it all the time, and I feel like it kind of takes away, you know, from the whole thing. So if you can have good music, you can have it both ways with this thing, as long as, right, you get permission. Yeah. So, okay, we also have other features. So it works like any other playlist thing, right? You add your favorites. I just added Dandelion. That should be at the bottom somewhere. There you go. And then when you're ready, this is a lot of tracks. It's probably too big, but you know, you can mint the playlist. Put your thing. You can also set a curation fee. So if someone buys an NFT through your playlist, you can earn a little bit of commissions. And you mint playlists and it goes on chain. I won't do it directly, but here are some previous examples. Yeah, I minted some tracks from the live stream test. Oops. So it's kind of loading all the things, but you know, you can hit play and then it starts playing. And this is all on chain again. This is coming from the blockchain. It's not coming from some server that we set up. It's coming directly from the blockchain. So what can you do with this? Well, you can do a lot. Like the curation fee is one example, right? But if you want to take a playlist and turn it into some kind of, I don't know, AI generated gallery video something, I don't know, right? Like, this is out there for everyone to use, and you know, sky's the limit, really. I mean, You can do like a lot. You can do a lot with MIDI, right? You can do a lot with text. Like there's a lot that can be done just because it's on chain. That's your playlists. Tempo. Yeah, just talking a little bit about Teia community. Okay, that's pretty much it. And I think that goes through pretty much everything about, what we're trying to do here. One interesting thing you might notice about the app is that I was obsessed about this idea of like, when you go to galleries or museums, right? When you look at the background or how it's staged, right? What are the two most common colors you see, right? It's either white or black. And the reason why they do this is because they don't want a very, very colorful background because they want your focus to be on the artwork itself, right? So it's either white or black, right? Now, those you can kind of like tune out of your mind. But we wanted to do, look at a lot of NFT sites. They kind of, they kind of do that, right? But if you're looking at, we wanted to do something different where it actually enhances what the artwork is there. So for example, you notice this is orange, right? That's actually pulling the color from the orange thing over here. If I click on this, it changes this to green because it realizes, hey, it's green. This one's probably going to be red. Red or black. This will probably be red too, yeah. And not only that, this would probably be like pinkish, right? Not only that, if you notice, as it goes and goes, gets closer to the next track, the color actually changes into the next track here. And that's a really subtle thing that, I don't know, a lot of people might not notice, but you see how the color changes, right? So it's going, so while you're listening to this thing, it actually changes color to the next thing. And by the time you're there, yeah. So, I don't know. It's more of a design thing, but yeah, I've been working on this for a couple years now, and it's finally starting to come together. So, yeah, that's basically the pitch in a nutshell. And you see, like, everything, it takes a while to explain because we're not only doing things with Teia, our teia.cafe, which is our company, we're also doing things with Teia. And we kind of go back and forth between doing different projects for different reasons. But we do think that some things are better left to, being community owned versus some things are better with us trying to do it, right? So we're trying to like find like sort of, we have a symbiotic relationship, right, between our company and the community, tech community at large. And we want to keep it that way, And I think there's some, like we can do both. We can do both open source or work on, teia.cafe for certain things. Especially, this is very useful, especially for doing like a proof of concept, right? We have all these resources here that we can use teia.cafe to kind of showcase what can be done, right? The marketplace thing is like a good example of that. So yeah, so that's the pitch, and that's what we will be doing if we could get some support doing it. And we're pretty flexible too. If there's any other ideas that, priorities that need to be focused on, we're happy to pivot, But at the end of the day, we want to kind of work on things that will like help build the community as a whole. And so that's what's kind of makes us different from a traditional startup, I would say. So, okay, well, if you listen to this whole thing, thank you very much, and see you in the next one. Sorry, that's a habit. Next what? Next pitch what? Okay, well.